Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words. Today we're playing a pretty cool looking legacy deck that top-8'd a challenge. This is a black and red aggressive deck. We've got our 1-drops in Nethergoyf and Dragon's Rage Channeler, so we're trying to churn stuff over into our graveyard. We've also got Cori-Steel Cutter, which wants us to cast some cheap spells, so we've got a bunch of baubles in here to fuel our Cori-Steel Cutter as well as our Channeler and Nethergoyf. We've seen this sort of technology out of other decks, but not necessarily in this colour combination very often. We've got Hand Disruption and Thoughtseize, obviously one of the best cards in the format. We've got Cabal Therapy, which we can sack Cori-Steel Cutter tokens to. So this is kind of going to work a little bit like Young Pyromancer did once upon a time. We've got some removal and Fatal Push and Molten Collapse, as well as Lightning Bolts, which you can also go to the face. Amped Raptor is a little bit of card advantage. This can cast every card in our deck. So this will always be hitting, which is pretty cool. Now, how useful those hits are will remain to be seen. Like, you know, sometimes we're not going to necessarily want to Thoughtseize or Cabal Therapy or have no targets or a Fatal Push. But generally speaking, it should always be hitting and doing something good. We have a one-off Timeline Culler, which is a nice thing to mill over with like a Dragon's Rage Channeler and just keep coming back and keep applying pressure. Obviously, given the nature of the format right now, we need a Nihil Spellbomb. This is just a pretty good card to have in the main deck anyway because it cycles and it gives us another type for things like Nethergoyf. That's pretty much it. We got a couple of Wastelands, only 2, which is an interesting number. But I guess we have some like black pips here. We want to be casting spells and getting our Cori-Steel Cutter triggers going, and we don't necessarily have the selection that you would find in a blue deck that would make it be able to play 4. So I understand why there's 2. We've got ourselves 1 Raucous Theater. We've got 3 basics so that we can cast all of our spells underneath some sort of back to basics style effect. Sideboard wise, we've got more removal. We've got some Pyroblasts. Untimely Malfunction, which can redirect spells or blow up artifacts. We've got some Graveyard Hate in these Surgical Extractions to go alongside our main deck Nihil Spellbomb. 4 Mindbreak Traps for some of these combo decks. And then a little bit more removal as well with Sheoldred's Edict and Fatal Push. That's the list. I don't know how it's going to perform, but it looks fun. It looks like we're going to have quite a lot of decisions to make as we go with our sequencing and what we're targeting. So like and subscribe, and let's get stuck in. I'm trying to hit 6k subscribers, by the way, so if you can help me hit that 6k mark by the end of the year, that'd be lovely. So if you're watching this and aren't subscribed, just click the button. Doesn't cost you anything and does help me out. Okay, that over and done with, let's jam. Have you got magic cards you don't want taking up space in your home, or do you just need some extra spending money? Well, my lovely sponsors, 3for1 Trading, are buying all collections, big and small. They are one of Europe's biggest traders and have a transparent process to sell them cards and make sure you're getting a good deal. Click the link in the description of this video to get an offer on your cards today. Our opener doesn't play, so we're going to mulligan this. This one does play. We're going to need to find another land. But we do have stuff we can do and ways of finding more lands because we've got these. We'll keep this. I think we probably just get rid of one of the baubles. I think I'd rather keep hold of... We keep the Mishra's bauble because we see our opponent's hand. So the Urza's bauble goes. And we start off the game with like perfect information. I don't think we get to play around Wasteland here, so we're kind of hands off the wheel a little bit. Just go and get the Badlands. I think it's more important to Thoughtseize here than it is to try and use the Bauble and Surveil. Kaito, Spellbomb, Bowmasters. There is a Wasteland over there. I don't want them to have the Bowmasters, I don't think, here. I don't really like the Kaito very much either. I want them to keep the Nihil Spellbomb, so think about casting it on turn 1, so we maybe get another turn here. Oh, I forgot to play out the Bauble. That was embarrassing. There is the Wasteland. Okay, we found a mountain. Are we playing out the Bauble now? Or are we holding it in case we draw the thing with the cutter? I think we should just be Baubling here. It ended up not mattering there. But I was too busy talking about the play with trying to make our opponent keep the Nihil Spellbomb. See if we can draw a mana source. We did not draw a mana source. We also didn't draw a card we can cast. So that's a little bit sketchy. So I'm expecting land into Nihil Spellbomb here. Oh, they drew a Ponder. Okay, that's certainly better than the Spellbomb. We have an answer for a Tamiyo in this Lightning Bolt. Whether or not it'll stick, I don't know. Our Nethergoyf is looking pretty chunky though, so hopefully we can draw a black source and just start sending in some damages. I will take a Dragon's Rage Channeler. We know they don't have an Orcish Bowmasters from earlier because we took it, so hopefully this can stick around. Flooded Strand, sure. Tamiyo. Have we just brainstormed it straight away? It's the Nihil Spellbomb, sure. So this Lightning Bolt will trigger this. Do we try and play this around a daze, or do we use it now to surveil into a land? I think we use it now to surveil into a land. We know all but one of our opponent's cards. Let's get the Surveil on. Land on top. Tamiyo goes bye-bye. Play Badlands. Bash away. Here comes another Nethergoyf. We got a pretty sizable clock here. There is a Polluted Delta. That is a Murktide Regent. Now, you may have noticed the size of our creatures and the size of this creature. So the Nethergoyf is pretty good at attacking in here. Well, we have to attack. We do get to clean this up because of the Bowmasters. Right, they're blocking the Nethergoyf. Very interesting to me. They had like a free roll on this one. Is their plan just to pad their life total here? And they're just going to fail push this. Targeting themselves. No, they're targeting us. That's going to shrink our Nethergoyf. I think we cast this now. So if they draw a card off of this, we at least ping them and make a bigger guy. So we're going to lose the Nethergoyf here. They didn't have anything to remove to their own Murktide Regent to make it bigger, but removing our graveyard is pretty good here. Sure, they're taking the extra cards. We get an extra ping here. 3 through the Channeler. This guy will come back later. Well, might not come back later. We'll see. Wasteland, very good here. They also have the ability to Kaito and get that going. That's probably better than having the Murktide. Alright, they didn't want that. Interesting. This guy doesn't have to attack anymore. We can't get Nethergoyf in. We can't cast any of the spells in our hand. We can force through 2 damage and lose a permanent. I don't like that very much. Now our opponent can just find a land, hard cast the Kaito, and I don't think we come back from that very easily. Now maybe Cori-Steel Cutter can get us over the line. Okay, they don't get it this turn unless they boop out their Murktide Regent. Barrowgrave? Is that what we're looking at here? Okay, just another Murktide Regent. It doesn't even grow the first. It does allow them to attack for 4. Okay, we're going to need a little help here. Orcish Bowmasters is not it. My immediate thing is how many lands are we actually running in our deck? 17. That is a low number. Okay. So they should attack and just put in the Kaito here. We can't block. So they can deal the damage and then put in the Kaito. Okay, no, because you can do it after damage has been dealt. Alright, they have a Tamiyo. We are just floundering here. We've got lethal in the sky. We don't have mana in our deck, really. We've only got 17 lands and we've lost one of them. Or actually, we lost more than one of them, didn't we? Yeah, we lost 2. Okay, this is a Pyroblast and Molten Collapse style affair, I believe. The Sheoldred's Edict also pretty good. What are we not super interested in? Nihil Spellbomb is fine here, but it's not, like, amazing. But it is fine. Cabal Therapies. I think we just want these things to answer stuff on board. I still like having the Thoughtseize, and we'll trim one of these Baubles. Would I prefer a Spellbomb over a Bauble? Yes, I would. Makes it slightly harder to do the Steel Cutter thing, but I think it ends up better for us overall. Because sometimes wiping a graveyard to stop a Murktide coming down is huge. They probably have their own Nethergoyf, so we can kind of mash that up. I think the turn we attacked, we kind of had to attack because we either lose a Channeler or we lose the Nethergoyf. But if we lose the Nethergoyf, we get to put through 3 damages. And if they block wrong, then we get a chance to Bowmaster and finish them. Okay, we get to play on basics. That's going to be nice. We have both of our Wastelands in our hand. Is it Thoughtseize or is it Channeler? Our opponent's deck is a little bit slower here. I think I want the value off of the Channeler. So we're just going to get the Channeler in now. And then next turn we can Thoughtseize. If this was like a combo-oriented matchup, then I'd be more interested in firing off the Thoughtseize straight away so don't die. Whereas our opponent is trying to play a slower, more measured game. So we want to interact and get as many favourable interactions as possible. And tacking on additional text to our Thoughtseize is a good way to start things off. We could have gone and got a non-basic so we could Thoughtseize into Wasteland, but I'm already kind of shooken by the mana in our deck. A Nethergoyf, sure. And Orcish Bowmasters. Okay, I think we are just on the Thoughtseize our opponent line. It does make their Nethergoyf bigger, but we'll worry about that later. We don't need this, we've got lands. Brainstorm, Spellbomb, Bowmasters, Edict. That is quite a good selection of cards over there. Bowmasters is multiple bodies and really annoying. I think we just have to take the Bowmasters here. So it kills our guy, and it does other stuff too. Hopefully they will just Edict us, and then we maybe get them with a Wasteland before they can convert these Brainstorms. If this was a non-basic and we had the opportunity to Wasteland our opponent that turn, would have been great. But it also would have exposed us to our opponent's Wasteland, which would be not so great. So we need something to convert this Cori-Steel Cutter into pressure. Alright, they're just surveilling. So they're going to bin off one of the cards they brainstormed on top. A Wasteland. Sure. So they're going to come in for 3. They are quite far ahead on the clock. We only have 2 types in our graveyard. A Fatal Push. I don't hate that, but we have a problem with trying to leverage all of our spells here. So we play out this Wasteland. I want to play out this Bowmasters first. We know our opponent's got a Sheoldred's Edict. We also know they've got a Brainstorm, so we can shut off their Brainstorm with our Bowmasters. That's not a bad place to be. If they fight over this, then we end up with a 3rd type in the graveyard, and maybe we can... I guess we don't really get to do anything from that point onwards, do we? Our opponent has 2 mana over there. I will Wasteland them off of their Underground Sea. That way if they have to bounce their Undercity Sewers for a days, it sets them back another turn. They Brainstorm for lands, then the Bowmaster will punish them. Next turn we have Cori-Steel Cutter into Fatal Push or Nethergoyf. And then swing. That's pretty good. They had another Underground Sea, so our Wasteland was kind of useless there. Not necessarily useless. It does limit the number of spells. They could have Brainstormed and cast the Sheoldred's Edict. So we are limiting them to 1 spell this turn cycle, I think. Unless they've got Nihil Spell on Brainstorm as their plan. Which doesn't feel like a great place. Although the Spellbomb can stop our Dragon's Rage Channeler from doing things. It can also be an artifact to pump their Nethergoyf. They're just sending it in. Explosives for 2. That is obviously disastrous with this Cori-Steel Cutter in our hand. Now we can try and take them off mana so they can't crack it. That's certainly a thing we're allowed to do. We drew a Dragon's Rage Channeler. Curious. Sure. I'll play out this Channeler. And then I will hit this now and get both of our Surveils and see if we can convert these into 3/3s. Pyroblast. I really want to keep this. But I think we need to bin stuff off. Oh, this is a real pain for us. The second card down has to be useful. No, I think we just keep this. It is such a... It's so, like, far above the quality of the other cards in our deck in this matchup. Like, stopping Kaito or a Murktide Regent, which are the 2 scariest things our opponent has to offer. We know we can't double spell next turn, but we can shut our opponent off of mana here. If we play a land and pop it, then we can just put the Cori-Steel Cutter into play. Right, I do have a land, and it's a basic island. So they're going to blow up our Bowmaster, but we're still going to get a bunch of damages in here. Unfortunately, we're really struggling to get these Dragon's Rage Channelers to deal enough damage. They got Bowmasters. That'd be good. Right, just going to take the damage. They're going to crack this end of turn. They just really want us to have an empty board. Sure. Like, if they crack it, then we end up dealing them more damage that turn anyway. So it makes sense to leave it to the end step. There is a Wasteland that we don't care about. There is a Nihil Spellbomb that we do care about. So they're probably going to take a card here whilst reducing our Dragon's Rage Channelers to being rather pitiful. I wouldn't mind drawing a Bauble this turn. We've obviously boarded some out. I'm not going to Pyroblast these. I'm saving the Pyroblast for Kaito and Murktide. Those are the big things that this has to do. Because we get completely roadblocked by a Murktide. We either have to go around it or blow it up. Now, we're not without other tools. So we have our like Molten Collapse and Sheoldred's Edict that can deal with the Murktide as well. Is there any reason to cast this now? We know our opponent has a Brainstorm over there. If we attack now, we force an extra point of damage through. Because it will pump this Orc army. And I think we just need to be more or less racing to the finish line. Alright, so they had a Force of Will here. What are they pitching to it? Is it this Brainstorm? No, they decided they didn't care enough about the Orcish Bowmasters. They paid 1 life and then went back on it. Right, we put our opponent to 5. We have lethal on board. We're doing what we can. Underground Sea. So they have a lot of mana to work with this turn. So they can Sheoldred's Edict to stop us from having lethal this turn. They can just make us sacrifice a token, then we can only swing for 3. But that is still getting a little precarious with their life total. A big old Barragoyf. You know what this Pyroblast doesn't do? And that is answer Barragoyf. But yikes there. Molten Collapse off the top. Not a Molten Collapse. I don't mind Cori-Steel Cutter into Bauble though. That's a lot of looks. Artifact is good. Like we get to shrink this guy who is enormous. I guess we leave that on top. So playing this Bauble out will give us a Cori-Steel Cutter token. We don't really want to mill over the Spellbomb though. Don't want to attack here either. So what we're going to do is we're going to chump block this with a piece of material. Unsure what piece of material. Let's see what our opponent is drawing for the turn. We're doing this now so they can't Thoughtseize away our Spellbomb. Alright, our opponent has a Spellbomb as well. Which creature goes under the bus? I think it is Dragon's Rage Channeler. This is going to put our opponent up to 10 life. Quite a big number. So the Spellbomb won't be able to completely get rid of this. A non-token creature of our choice. Goodbye, Dragon's Rage Channeler. There is the Nihil Spellbomb. We draw a card off of this Bauble. Then we draw for turn. Polluted Delta. Does that change anything? It gives us a Surveil land, which isn't the worst. So we can play this Nihil Spellbomb out. We can Pyroblast. It's just not the most useful thing. Because you don't need to have a target the right color. It says counter it if it's something. So this gets bigger. This is 3, 4, 5, 6. Force of Will. Where do they pitch this? The Brainstorm that we know about. Don't want to Pyroblast this. Is this worth Pyroblasting? Our opponent's got no cards in hand. I think this is okay. This will give us the second Cori-Steel Cutter trigger. I don't think that's lethal, is it? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's not lethal. We'll put our opponent to 1 though. If we sacrifice this now and we draw into a Bauble, we do kill our opponent though. So I will certainly do that. Oh well, they're just scooping it up. I don't think they need to scoop up there. We need to draw a Bauble to kill our opponent. Is it going to let us see what the card would have been? No. Okay. I like how we sideboarded here. Do you want this Fatal Push as well, just to deal with their guys a bit more? Maybe that's more what this is about than something like a Thoughtseize. Just threat, threat, threat. And then just answer their stuff and just play on the board rather than in the hand. I can believe that. Especially when our pressure taking a turn off is worse on the draw. I'll keep this. There's a lot of threats. Alright, we've got Ponder over there. So I think we are just playing on Swamp here. We don't want to get smashed up by a Wasteland. So Swamp into a 1-2. I think they're going to be better at growing their Nethergoyfs than we are because they've got these cantrips. But that's not to say that we don't have stuff going on here. We have two options for next turn. We can either bolt Nethergoyf or we can Orcish Bowmaster. So if they play a Tamiyo out, then we'll obviously be bolting and playing the Nethergoyf. If they don't play out a Tamiyo, then we kind of just move on. Alright, this is a 3-4 already. Jeez. Wowzers, trousers. A Molten Collapse. I don't hate it. Let's destroy target creature. And then we get to crack in for 2 here. Next up, we are in the similar boat to how we were last turn. Depending on what our opponent does, we can leverage these. But our opponent might be able to play a Tamiyo and Brainstorm right now. And then we're going to be quite far behind. Now we can certainly beat a Tamiyo. We've got Lightning Bolts. We've got Orcish Bowmasters. It's a case of how many of these cards can we leverage before our opponent is gaining a bunch of resources. Alright, Brainstorm now when we don't have Orcish Bowmasters. That's a smart thing to do. Get these cards out of your hand while you still can. Get the value. You're not under a lot of pressure. It's just a 2-3. On the land, so they can shuffle the Brainstorm. Yikes. This is what I meant about our opponent being better at growing their guys. They've got 4-5. We've got 2-3. One of these is not like the other. Thoughtseize. 2 power, 3 power, 4 power, 5 power. Are we going to Thoughtseize our own Nethergoyf? No, this doesn't grow it because this is already a sorcery, right? So if we were to Thoughtseize our Nethergoyf, we'd be just doing +2. But one of those could be a Lightning Bolt. We could just attack and trade and go from there. So we'll do this first just so we get more damage through. Right, so we can trade Nethergoyfs. And then I can play out another one. Okay. Now our opponent's getting towards the mana where they can do some big scary stuff like big Murktide Regent, which we don't really have a good answer for right now. They also have access to Kaito. So a Murktide Regent would be a 6/6. So we could attack with the Nethergoyf and then blot and then bolt them. Doesn't feel incredible, but I could probably live with that. Fatal Push, sure. And here comes Big Daddy Murktide. It's now going to be a 7/7 because of the Fatal Push, which makes our life significantly more challenging. Yep. So Pyroblast, obviously one of our best draws. I would take a Molten Collapse or a Sheoldred's Edict. Oh, a Mishra's Bauble. Was that one of the ones I wanted? I don't think so. I think we play this and we target ourselves to see if we're drawing something that can answer the Murktide. And then we can plan our turn around it better. Amped Raptor. That doesn't answer a Murktide. So our options here are Nethergoyf, hold up Bolt, Thoughtseize, hold up Bolt, or hold up Orcish Bowmasters. Oh, they left a Ponder in, so this is only actually a 6/6. Does that change anything here? Nethergoyf will be the biggest creature on board. Alright. Well, it won't be the biggest creature on board, sorry. But it means we can use this and the Bowmasters to blow this up. Sure. If they want to turn their guys sideways, they have a 4-turn clock. We also have a 4-turn clock. They get to attack first, but our Bowmasters turns into a 3-turn clock. So I think this works out. We also have a Lightning Bolt that we can get some joy with. Yeah, this is a tricky one. We have a lot of good draws for this. We know we're drawing an Amped Raptor, which can maybe cascade us into something good. So it can hit a bunch of removal spells. It could also hit the cards that do nothing. Not sure how this is going to work out for us. Tamiyo, Inquisitive Student, sure. 6 coming into our face here. That's going to put us to 13. Ouch. And then in the end step, we can Lightning Bolt this Tamiyo, which I think we have to do. If they Brainstorm, then we can still kill it. So now we have a choice to make, depending on what we draw, obviously. A Fatal Push, that's not the one, but it takes another Fatal Push out of our deck. I think the Amped Raptor is the thing we're casting here. What have you got, deck? A Fatal Push. I will not be casting that. That was pretty bad. Pretty close to worst case scenario. So we come in for 5 here. They're going to Bowmasters us as well? They are indeed. They ping out the Amped Raptor, they chump block the Nethergoyf. I think that's the play here. Yep, and then they crack in for 7 next turn. I wonder if we're supposed to cast that Amped Raptor post-combat. In case they have Bowmaster. A Ponder, sure. So, yep, in comes 7. That's half our life total. This will make the Murktide Regent lethal next turn on its own. Can we draw an answer for it? No. We got nothing and we are dead here. Our opponent said they were on a 10-game loss streak, so I'm glad that we managed to turn that around for them. On to round number 2. Sure, we'll keep this one. I do like the synergy of Urza's Bauble plus Cabal Therapy. That makes me kind of happy. It gives you some good brain chemicals right there. Although 99% of the time, this is just going to make them reveal one of their lands. Because that's the way the world works sometimes, isn't it? Alright, Ancient Tomb. I would like to get my threat out now. I think this is just Swamp, Nethergoyf. I'll play out one of these baubles because it pumps our guy. If we see any information that we're interested in. Another Ancient Tomb. That doesn't really tell me the most. Okay, so we want to save these baubles so that we can just happily Cori-Steel Cutter our way through this one. Again, like I said, we did just see a land with a bauble, as is always the case. The One Ring? Yeah, that is better than all the things that we're doing. Now, they've paid a lot of life, so maybe we can pressure that. But we're not a hyper aggro deck. We are an aggressive beatdown deck, though. We don't really want the game to go super long. I want to save this for a land that doesn't hurt our opponent. Is what I actually want to do with that. So I think this turn we are playing out the Steel Cutter. And then we're going to play one of the baubles out. Force of Negation on the Steel Cutter. Huh. Interesting. Do I want a redraw right now? I think I do. We can do this in our opponent's turn so we can see what they're drawing. There's no point attacking. Also, Force of Negation meaning that we don't have it in our graveyard doesn't actually matter because we already have the artifact. Still a little bit annoying. But they're probably on the Cloud Post deck here. We'll talk about where the library is before they draw it. Play a Nexus. Sure. That's where we can point a Wasteland. We want our opponent to have to use these Ancient Tombs for their mana. These are actually our best win conditions right now, all three of our opponent's permanents. Hopefully this Urza's Bauble can see something, but both of our Baubles have only seen lands, which is a little bit frustrating. We draw a card here. Draw another card. Let's play this Urza's Bauble. See what you're working with over there, opponent. Another Ancient Tomb. What's going on? I'm just going to wasteland my opponent straight away. See if they float. Gives us a 2/3 Nethergoyf. I'm just immediately going to cast a spell. They're just floating here. Kozilek's Command. Goodbye, the only thing we had. It's alright, we've got some other things that we can use in a sec. I think we might just be naming the One Ring with this Cabal Therapy in the attempt to 2 top, 1 bottom. Let's Cabal Therapy our opponent. We name the One Ring so they can't get protection again. Thundertrap Trainer, Sink into Stupor, returns, has to be opponents. I don't really want them to have a Thundertrap Trainer, but I also am okay with that enough, I think. Play this guy out. I'm not going to Cabal Therapy here. Their Soporific Springs cost them 3 life. So be my guest. I don't even know if it's worth using the Chalice of the Void, because that's 2 life to play this on 1. Now if it stops the Lightning Bolt, then you're up on that deal. But if it doesn't, then you're just down 2 life you didn't need to be. They find another copy of the One Ring. They did find another copy of the One Ring. Well, that's good. We don't get to actually use our spells now. But our opponent is on a very low life total. I don't think they can afford to tap this. So they can play out an Ancient Tomb now and then activate to get the Chalice in, which is like what I think they should have done there. Yeah, we got nothing going on, so I guess we just play out another Swamp. And pass the turn. We can't Cabal Therapy them because they have protections. We can't target them. We can't attack them because they have protection. We're just kind of twiddling our thumbs and hoping our opponent can't string it together. Alright, they are drawing a card. That is pretty brave. Now, they have this Thundertrap Trainer, which they might be able to deploy and block with. But they're going to need a blue source here. So they are dead to 1 attack from our Nethergoyf. How they drunk too greedily from the well. Okay. Chalice of the Void X equals 1. Sure. That's not what this game is about right now, opponent. If you tap an Ancient Tomb, you're dead to your own One Ring. Now, they could have the Tishana's Tidebinder, which can then bind the deals you damage trigger and then make it lose all abilities. Alright, they just drunk too greedily from the well of their own life total. Okay, so Cloud Post, you say. We don't really have the best tools for this. I don't mind the Pyroblasts. This does not exile artifacts, so that's not very helpful. We don't care about their graveyards, so the Spellbomb can go. The Wastelands are great, but we only have 2 of them. I like the Hand Disruption a lot. Fatal Push, not so hot here. I prefer the Sheoldred's Edicts because they hit the Planeswalkers that can just mangle us pretty harshly. Molten Collapse, this hits creature or Planeswalker. Yep, so we do need to keep those in. So we need to find 2 more cuts here. We could trim on a Bauble. I think that's fine. But then we need 1 more cut here. Do we need 3 Pyroblasts? What were these Pyroblasts really being used for? There's that X and blue spell that can just put an Emrakul into place. We definitely want to counter that. There's Forces that are okay. Hitting a stock up is okay. I think we're going to only have 2 of these. Like most of their stuff is like big scary colourless things like Kozilek's Command and Ugin and Karn and the One Ring. No lands. Recurring theme for this deck, I feel. Let's send this one back and try again. Sure, I guess we keep it. We can really shred our opponent's hand here. This is kind of 2 spells. Maybe we keep the... Yeah, maybe we keep the Bowmaster. Sorry, we keep the Bauble. So the idea here is that we can pick up our opponent's hand, and then we can play Cori-Steel Cutter and immediately get haste with it and bash. And the following turn we can Amped Raptor, immediately get something with it, and then get another guy. Now that does involve us drawing another land, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Let's go and get ourselves a Badlands here. This Thoughtseize should inform our Cabal Therapy as well. The One Ring, Eldrazi Confluence, and Lauren Revealed. I will take the One Ring, I believe. Seems like the scariest thing here. I need to remind myself of the modes of this card as well. It's killing creatures, making guys, exiling non-land permanent, and returning it. Okay, so yeah, it's a blink. I'm not going to Bauble here because, like I said, I want the Cori-Steel Cutter plan to be available to us. If that means we take an extra turn to draw a land. That's not the end of the world because we have the Cabal Therapy, so we have something we're doing next turn. Now this Adversity Confluence is just going to be mana for the most part for them. It's either going to be mana or kill all of our guys. So I think it's definitely worth taking. Glimmer Post, get them 2 life. Sure, puts them up to 22. They didn't draw a play. Okay, so now we got to go Cabal Therapy, target you. I'm going to name that Confluence. Confluence. Here we go. Just got another Glimmer Post over there. Do I need to play out this Bauble? I don't think we do. Now, if we don't draw a land, we're going to look silly for doing that. I think our opponent's going to play Island, and then they're going to play Island and Lorien Revealed. Or they found a stock up this turn. Chalice the Void, X equals 1. These cards both shut off. We can blow this up using a Molten Collapse later on. Or, you know, sooner than later. Are we supposed to be firing this off now? I don't think we are. The fact that we can't Pyroblast as Lorien Revealed is very, very annoying to me. Yep. We have no real pressure to speak of. I think we are going to lose this one. Oh, we found a land finally. They're just drawing a bunch of gas so they can counterspell this. Although if they counterspell this, they're not going to have that much gas left, are they? So now we're rewarded for holding this in hand. Attach the monk. Take a little peek at what they're working with here. Showing us the Glimmer Post we already know about. Thanks, as Bauble. Always giving us relevant information for our Cabal Therapies. So now these Raptors just automatically trigger the Cori-Steel Cutter. Glimmer Post, gain some more life. You got it, boss. It's the One Ring. Okay. So I think we're still playing the Amped Raptor, trying to get more power in play. I will play this Dragon's Range Channeler. We play this because it triggers our Cori-Steel Cutter, even though it gets countered. It's worth it because it gets us a guy. And we can't do anything else here, so we just pass. We got a reasonable amount of damage here. But our opponent is still on 23 life. And if that Urza's Ball that we had saw a Glimmer Post was actually their 3rd Glimmer Post and not just the 2nd one again, then they've got another 4 life banked. And I'm sure they can find more Glimmer Posts by tapping this busted artifact to draw as many cards as they can conceive of. Stock up. Sure, it's good. It's not impacting the board at least. So next turn we can play the Amped Raptor and go again. Get a little bit more power in play. So it was the 3rd Glimmer Post. Cool. 26 life. Feels like a lot for our aggro deck to beat here. 6 mana. Is this going to be that Portent of whatever it's called? The big X spell that kills us. Could well be. Okay, it's just a kicked Thunder Trap Trainer. Alright. Khan the Great Creator. That guy's pretty good. So we could blow up the Chalice of the Void and take the Khan. That is a play we're allowed to make. And Chalice, another Chalice. Chalice, X equals 0. Don't care about that one too much. I would like a fetch land would be great here, because then we could trigger this, we could blow this and one of the creatures. And then we could take the Khan as well. Nethergoyf. So I could Molten Collapse, turn this monk into a fresh monk. We're getting rid of this Khan. Is that what we have to do here? What can we hit with an Amped Raptor? Not much. Okay, I think it is just destroy target, non-land, non-creature permanent. We yield to the monk triggers. We need to decide if it's better to have a Raptor or a monk. The Raptor is always 2 on first strike, which might just be better. You got a counter spell for this one, opponent? They do. Okay. That kind of sucks for us. We can Cabal Therapy, it won't resolve, but it will give us a monk. Is having a 1/1 prowess monk better than having an Amped Raptor? I don't believe so. Alright, maybe we can get our opponent underneath 25 life. Or underneath 20 life would be nice. Alright, so they're going to kill our guy there. I'll kill the 2 toughness guy. So I could Amped Raptor now and get a guy if I still think this is better. I don't think it is better though. Especially when all these things are just kind of stranded in our hand. Yes, we can cast them and get the prowess, but it's not exceptional, is it? Right, drawing some more cards. We've got our opponent below 20. The starting life total I still am touching distance of it though. And a single Glimmer Post and they go up like to 1,000,000 life again. Ugin, I have a Storm. I don't think we're beating this. I think we should just go to game 3. Our opponent is very far ahead there. Like, Ugin's going to blow up our Cori-Steel Cutter, and then if they cast any spell, they blow some more stuff up. This is Destroy, so it's not going to matter. This does hit Planeswalkers. Maybe that's better than a Sheoldred's Edict, even though it's slightly harder to cast. Maybe the Cabal Therapies are a bit medium there. Have another Bauble to keep the wheels greased. Let's try this. This is not the strongest hand I've ever seen. I think we do keep it though. Amped Raptor can do some pretty gnarly things to our opponent. We can start off with a Surveil land that can also just Pyroblast if we need it to. So our opponent somehow does something decent on turn 1. I don't think they're going to do very much. They're just going to be play a land tapped. Possibly go for a Chalice. If they do the Chalice, then we can bolt them. At least get some damages down before this card gets shut off by the Chalice. I'm going to hold on to the Bauble for now. We already have a turn 2 play, so we may as well save this in case we find a Cori-Steel Cutter, especially since the Amped Raptor could find one, and that gives us a better turn the following turn. Ancient Tomb. We play anything here, opponent? No. Okay, let's get my Surveil land then. Sheoldred's Edict. No, we want pressure right now. Those are for later. A Wasteland. I do like Wasteland, but our opponent doesn't have a land that I actually want to Wasteland right now. Amped Raptor. Our opponent's F6 for our turn. Timeline Culler. First appearance of that today. Now we get to attack. I like this guy a lot. I don't think he's like great, but I do like him. And that's good enough for me. I like these sorts of Bloodghast, Nether Spirit type guys. I enjoy the fairer, grindier side of graveyards as opposed to the busted I win the game immediately type of graveyard players. I'm the sort of person that likes to entomb for a Life from the Loam rather than an Atraxa. Or even better, entomb for Raven's Crime. Anyway, our opponents played a second Ancient Tomb. This is not really where they want their mana to be. This is how the game 1 went wrong for them. So we can definitely start thundering in with some damage here. We're going to save this for mana sources that don't hurt our opponent. Is it the One Ring again? It's not. Oh, they get to exile our guy. That's rude. Okay. We're kind of breaking off a little bit here. I think at this point we need to try and get some more value out of this Bauble. They have a stock up. That's obviously pretty good. We don't have another Surveil land, but we want to hold this in case we need Revolt for our Molten Collapse. Right, I think we're attacking with the Amped Raptor. Do they chump block here? 2 Ancient Tombs. Alright, I think we just play out the Badlands here. I don't want them to know that we have a Wasteland. Cabal Therapy. We know they have a stock up. So we have something we might be able to name next turn. Planar Nexus. That will be getting Wastelanded next turn. Question is, what can they do this turn? Nothing. Big fan of that. Okay, not a fan of drawing that though. Let's go for this Cabal Therapy targeting our opponent. Are we even supposed to name the stock up? Because we can hit the stock up with our... Is this going to be the K command on our poor little defenseless guy? No, they're just making a bunch of things. I'd rather you didn't make a bunch of things. I think we're looking for Ugin, is what we're naming here. Because our opponent can cast that next turn. And we can Pyroblast their other spells. We don't need much. If they play the One Ring, their life total does go lower. And alongside these Ancient Tombs, that probably gives us lethal. This is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 damage off the One Ring. That's going to be lethal. Although they can just use these to play the One Ring. So that's kind of annoying. I think we name Ugin though. That's the... Eye of the Storms, I believe it is. It's the new one. Attack. I think we have to name Khan the Great Creator here. Which means we're not going to have any pressure in play. Not ideal. Let's Cabal Therapy our opponent. Name Khan. They could Force of Will this. Which would be excellent for us, because we get to Pyroblast it. Counter target spell if it's blue. Get out of here. Force of Will. So then we can name Khan the Great Creator and leave them with nothing. Now, we also have nothing. They have 2 Ancient Tombs, and we have a Lightning Bolt. Now, I'm no mathematician, but 7 minus 4 minus 3, I'm pretty sure that's 0. Glimmer Post does change things up a little bit here. Chalice the Void. Alright, in response, we have to Lightning Bolt our opponent's face. Nexus. So they're going to play the Glimmer Post next turn and go up to 4. Thoughtseize isn't great. I think we play this Bloodstained Mire. I think it's better to hold this for Revolt than crack it. Even though we can technically thin our deck by a very small, almost insignificant percentage. I think the fact that this actively does stuff with the cards we could draw is better. Orcish Bowmasters. I'll just play a land, make it look like we've got nothing. Maybe our opponent puts some sort of draw effect on the stack. Maybe they tap some Ancient Tombs. 2 cards in hand, they're both mysteries. Karn the Great Creator. Okay. See what they play. Batterskull. Don't like Batterskull for us very much. So I think we cast this so we can pressure. The question is, what are we doing? I think we have to just go face here. Because if we go for one of the tokens, they sack the token and then we don't get the army. Thoughtseize is not the one, is it, here, deck? I think we have to attack them with both guys. We need a land to play this Batterskull. So if they block here, this is really annoying for our opponent because of the Ancient Tombs. Because if they don't block, then they can't tap an Ancient Tomb. So you just need to find a land right now to hit their Batterskull. They might have an artifact land in their sideboard they can grab with the Karn though. Glimmer Post, that's probably the very best land they could have found. So now they get a Batterskull in. So we need to draw our Molten Collapse. They should just slam this Batterskull, I believe. It makes our life very difficult. Oh, they're getting something else. Do you not have enough toys to play with already, opponent? A Walking Ballista. Are you really playing that over a Batterskull? Okay, they decided to play the Batterskull. They've gone to 2 life though. Again, I think we just want to have this for Revolt. Dragon's Race Channeler that gets countered by Chalice of the Void. Not good. I think our opponent gets to turn this one around now. We needed to not brick for a couple of turns. Now, we have a lot of bricks in our deck because we're a very low mana value deck and our opponent has got a Chalice of the Void on 1. So, it is what it is. We can just take the 4. It's better to have our bodies in play. But this is not good. So here comes Walking Ballista unless they got something bigger. Alright, they do have something bigger. Oh no, it's just a bigger Walking Ballista. They just want it for 4 counters. So we lose all of our guys. I don't even care about this one. A Lightning Bolt we can't cast. So we're going to take 4 next turn. And they're going to gain 4. I don't think we can win this one now. Our opponent's just too far ahead. Yeah, we bricked on a couple of clutch turns. And then we didn't really get what to go where we needed. We had a nice exchange, but our opponent managed to find a Karn immediately. Unfortunate. On to round number 3. Just a tap land. I really don't like the mana in this deck, if I'm being honest with you out there. Can we keep this? We have 2 redraws. We don't get to do anything on turn 1. We're on the draw. I don't think we can keep this. It's too slow. 1 land again. No way of finding a second land. Can we keep this? I guess we have to. Molten Collapse or Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt's always useful, so I think we're going to put back the Collapse. We don't know if the Molten Collapse is going to be useful, whereas Lightning Bolt can at least go to our opponent's face and try and win us the game that way. So we've got Surveil Land trying to dig us to the second land. Prismatic Vista. Those tend to be in slow, grindy control decks or Omnitel. The Snowland possibly looking more towards Omnitel, because sometimes they run the Ice Fang to buy themselves a little bit of time. Like, Omnitel is pretty poor in the meta right now, though. This is not a good meta if you like casting Show and Tells. Okay, so we have Lightning Bolt if we need it for something in emergency. Otherwise, we're just going to be going to get ourselves a Surveil Land to try and dig up that second land. Tamiyo. I think we try and dig up the second land here. Our opponent can now crack this and flip their Tamiyo. Yep. The illusion of choice. Oh no, it's just a white source. Okay. I'll take that. Here's this Raucous Theater. Land, please. I should have been more specific, deck. I'm sorry. That's on me. We do need a second land so badly that we have to take this even though it does nothing. Ugh. Dislike that a great deal. Okay, so we are in the Lightning Bolt this creature mode. We don't have to worry about days here. We can pay around it. Force of Will. Yep. If ever there was a 1-drop worth protecting with the Force of Will, it's certainly Tamiyo. So we might be looking at the Jeskai Wizards deck, which is very good. It keeps winning events, so must be doing something right. It's only like 1.7% of the meta, but it's won 5 events, which is a lot. A Nihil Spellbomb. Okay. I don't think our opponent has a Brainstorm. I haven't been playing like they have a Brainstorm. Alright, they're shuffling now. Snow-covered plains. I think they're not going to play into this Bowmaster, that's very obvious. Back to basics. Jeez. Could you not, opponent, no? I guess it's more important to kill this Tameo than it is to get Bowmasters in. Alright. We are very much back to basics over here. Oh. Okay. We get to cast one of our spells. That was more than I was expecting to be able to cast this turn cycle. So I'll take that. Alright, let's get this Bowmasters in response to this clue draw. Alright, so now we've got pressure. Okay, now we don't have pressure. We have a 1-1. But our opponent's only on 14. Taking a reasonable amount. Every land's basically been a fetch land, so. Alright, let's attack with this. And let's use our nice little basic land to put this Nihil Spellbomb in. So if our opponent tries to... Do I have to worry about Murktide here? I think getting the card off this is too important. That we can't just try and... Like, a lot of these decks don't even have Murktide, so... Prismatic Ending on the Spellbomb. Alright, in response, I will take your graveyard. We don't have the mana to pay. So doing this now, so maybe we don't get to draw a card. The fact they don't care about our threat, but they care about our Nihil Spellbomb is really interesting. Molten Collapse. That's a thing that maybe becomes useful at some point in this game. We need to find a fetch land so we can go and get our basic mountain. Like, we can play the game perfectly fine off of 2 lands, really. But having 2 lands is something I'm finding a little bit of difficulty with. A Bloodstained Mire. Lo and behold, the prophecy is fulfilled. And a mountain. So, am I playing the Amped Raptor or am I playing the Bowmasters? I think we attack with this guy and then we flash in the Bowmasters. Because this gets us 1 additional point now. They might brainstorm something in response. What is this? Snapcaster. They can't cast this Prismatic Ending, but they can just block with this. They clearly think it's worth their time to trade out this guy. Which, you know, it might well be. We don't know what else is in our opponent's hand. Maybe they're a bit low on action. Okay, now that is a very weird play. I think they maybe just made a mistake and thought they could flash back the Prismatic Ending properly there. Stoneforge Mystic. Yep, that's pretty good. What are they going to find? Is it Batterskull? I thought our opponent was on Jeskai, but I think they're just on, like, blue-white Stoneblade. Batterskull. How are we supposed to beat Batterskull? We kill the creature and hope for the best. What is the play here? It's probably Amped Raptor, isn't it? So we kill this, they can just hard cast a Batterskull, and then I'd rather just blow up the creature that way. But then they can start re-equipping it. And it all gets a little bit dicey then, doesn't it? We could attack with both creatures. They block here. We ping it. We lose a Bowmaster. We end up with a Bowmaster. I think we're just going to Amped Raptor. And try and blow up the Batterskull. Cabal Therapy. You absolute beauty. This is why we do these things. This is a superb draw for us. Is it not going to last day? And it's a Force of Negation, so we don't even get to flash it back. Alright, opponent. I see what we're up to over there. We do get to force through 2 points of damage now. Alright, we get to kill the Snapcaster. They could have taken this block last turn and be on 11. So we need to find a way to get this Batterskull out of our lives. Because our opponent doesn't have to immediately fire in with a Batterskull here. Goodbye Orcish Bowmasters, sure. And Nethergoyf. What does that do for us? This is tricky. We have a 3/4. It's not quite big enough. We have a sorcery that we can put in the bin. If we attack with the Amped Raptor, we force the Batterskull in now, so we can then Molten Collapse the creature and then play a Nethergoyf. But then they just re-equip it to the Stoneforge, and that's pretty horrible for us. I think the play here is make this guy, and then we can Orcish Bowmasters. So what we can do is we can block with the Amped Raptor, ping down our own Amped Raptor if we want to stop them gaining 4 life, if we think that's the the pivot point of this game is how much life our opponent has. Oh look, it's the Batterskull. Yeah, this is annoying. So do we take the 4 here and let them go up to 12? Do we lose one of our creatures? I don't really want to lose one of my creatures here. Oh, we're losing one of our creatures anyway. Cool. Yeah, I think we just have to take the 4. That certainly sucks. Right, Orcish Bowmaster, I think you're worth losing a land for here. Yep, the Brainstorm over the top. So we could have cast this with different timing, but we didn't know if we were going to be pinging our Amped Raptor depending on what our opponent did. We just didn't really have good choices. Dragon's Rage Channeler. Do we have time to mess around with the Dragon's Rage Channeler? If we Molten Collapse this, they equip it to this, and then we're really on the hook. There's not 2 permanents because this takes out a creature or a non-creature, non-land permanent. So we can't take out the Stoneforge in this because it has to be mana value 1 or less. We can't take out the Batterskull either. They can bounce the Batterskull. We have no good choices. What are we killing? We can kill the Batterskull. We can kill the Stoneforge. If we kill the Stoneforge, then we can just block everything on the Batterskull and then try and win with what's left. Oh, this is bad. I really don't want them just to equip it here because then we can't trade with it. It has to be killing this. That sucks so badly for us. So if we kill the Batterskull, the token, then they put it on the Stoneforge and then we got nothing, right? Because we can't put enough bodies in front of that. Whereas this way we can trade off our bodies and then try and use these 2 cards in our hand at some point to maybe leverage a win. But then they get to rebounce the Batterskull as well. Okay, I guess we're just taking 4 for now. Another Stoneforge. Yep. I don't know how we're supposed to win this one. Our opponent is just going bigger than us, and they've successfully gotten out of the early game. We don't have any big, like, Merkside Regent level haymakers. Cryptic Coat, yeah. It's pretty good. A little Card Advantage Engine popping off. We need a Meltdown for all the mana. And the Tamiyo for good measure. Yikes. I think I'll take one more draw step and then scoop it up here. I just don't think we can beat the Batterskull. Okay, this blows up artifacts in our opponent's artifact-based deck. I would like that very much. Molten Collapse, pretty useful here. Fatal Push for their little guys, pretty good. These things also good. So there's a bunch of 8 cards I'm interested in. I don't think this is a Nihil Spellbomb. Yes, they have Snapcaster Mage, but I don't think that's the be-all and end-all of how this matchup's going to go. Probably trim some Cabal Therapies. I like Cabal Therapy after they cast their Stoneforge, so that's quite nice. Amped Raptor. Are you where I want to be here? For boarding in these sorts of things, we just have to be careful about when we cast them. Maybe we aren't just on these Cabal Therapies at all. Do we need a Fatal Push? It does kill a token. Maybe we don't need the Sheoldred's Edicts. Just have target removal. We haven't seen Planeswalkers yet. Alright, I think our opponent is playing the deck that I would rather play in this particular matchup, for sure. I guess. It's the thing we have. Do we need to Thoughtseize first? I don't think so. I think we get to Dragon's Rage Channeler because we're on the play, and then we can Thoughtseize the turn before the Stoneforge comes down, so we have more looks at making sure that the Stoneforge is gone. Now, will our Dragon's Rage Channeler survive? Will our mana base hold up? These are questions that we have to worry about later. Plow or pending? It's a pending. Goodbye. A Wasteland. Not the most useful card I've ever seen. So we could be mana efficient with a Bowmasters here. I think that's fine. If they Stoneforge, we can then just take what they've tutored for out of their hand with a Thoughtseize, and then we don't have to worry about the Batterskull ever again. This Wasteland is not going to do anything. We do need to be worried about back to basics as well, because that just stops us from playing the game. We jam on a Stoneforge here. We are indeed. What are we fetching? Is it the Batterskull again? It was pretty good last time. Cryptic Coat. That could just be a blue card for the purpose of the Force of Will. I'd like to draw a basic land, please, or something that finds us a basic land. We did not. So we have 2 options, really. Well, we got 3, maybe 4 options, I suppose. I don't think we can allow this Stoneforge Mystic to stick around. I'm also really worried about back to basics. I think we just have to Thoughtseize our opponent here. Alright, they're Force of Willing us. That is terrifying. Does that mean they already have the Batterskull? Another Stoneforge. Does this one get them a Batterskull? It does. What are we supposed to do here? I could have brought out Wastelands this matchup because they're no good, but I think we just need them to actually cast our spells. Okay, I think we are in press the Amped Raptor button and hope it works out for us plan. Thoughtseize, that is one of the things I was interested in finding here. Assimilation Aegis, Batterskull, Cryptic Coat. I think the Batterskull is the hardest of these things to beat. We can't attack though. Surprised I didn't go for Batterskull with the first one because I could have already had a Batterskull in play. So there's the Tundra. We have a Wasteland, but I didn't really want to give up half of my mana base to take my opponent off of one land. Is this going to be the Aegis? It is the Aegis. So they're going to take out our Bowmasters. And then we're brainstorming over here. So we can Pyroblast this and get back our Bowmasters at an opportune moment, which is pretty cool. We don't know if they've even still got this Cryptic Coat. Land? Not a land. I'll attack these two. If they get a block, we will... Right, they're not going to get a block here. That makes sense. I will simply pass, knowing that we have Pyroblast and Orcish Bowmasters as things we can do. We're keeping up the flexibility. We're losing 1 point of damage. Prismatic Vista. We have many Bowmasters, so we're just going to unload this one here. We can just hold up Pyroblast for things like the back to basics when that swings around. I'm basically always looking for a land, which is a little bit awkward. Fatal Push. It's pretty good. So this is... If that can trade with an Orc army, that's fine. If we get blown out by something bigger and spookier, then so be it. I guess they can put this into play and then they can mess with us by bouncing it. So they can block and bounce. So we could Pyroblast this before they get to block. Or we could make them invest the mana to... Yeah, we have to make them invest the mana, because if they got the mana up, they can just bounce it. So they get to block, and then they click to bounce this. Oh, it's just a Snapcaster Mage. Do I care about this? It finds a Brainstorm. None of these matter to me. Sure, you can have a Snapcaster Mage. They just target a Brainstorm. That doesn't seem great when we have a... They're targeting the Prismatic Ending again, but they can't cast this. So just trading here. So I could blow this up, get a Bowmaster back, or I could Bowmaster. Our opponent has one card in hand. Sure, I think we're just going to keep our guy alive here. Get this Bowmaster in. I wasn't sure if they were going to block, so they didn't block before. So we could have just pinged this and forced through damage with the Orc army, but then they get a chance to block with their Stoneforges. Not looking forward to back to basics here, but we are shutting off their draw effects because they're on quite a low life total. I imagine this is just going to be the coat though. We can worry about Pyroblasting that later. I think if I was our opponent, what I would have done that turn was deploy the coat, block it, and then just bounce the coat and just let this trade off. And just have the coat ready for the following turn. Bouncing the coat now, sure. And redeploying the coat. No, they're just using the Stoneforge to deploy it because then they get another bounce. Sure. Scalding Tarn. Hallelujah. I think we are not playing around back to basics here. We just got to suck it up. So this has first strike, which is obviously very good. So we're going to send in these guys. Right, so the first strike will deal with this. Sorry, this has got 3 power, hasn't it? So we have to let these trade off. Do we? We can just play another Bowmaster here, can't we, actually? And we grow our creature out of range. And then when they click to bounce this, we can then Pyroblast it. Get out of here, Coat. So our opponent's looming off the top, and maybe whatever this is. It's unlikely that this cloak thing is anything useful, though. We tied up the match. We get to go to game 3. Yeah, so basically, if they don't have Batterskull in play, we can play this game. Okay. Do I want more hand disruption just so we can take out like the Batterskull that we know is in their hand? This becomes a really bad top deck though. But we're not great at dealing with... Like, we just have Untimely Malfunctions or any way of dealing with it once it's in play. Tricky. I think we just submit as is. We've got the Thoughtseizes still. Okay, I think we keep this. It's a pretty aggressive Cori-Steel Cutter hand. We haven't really shown that dynamic to our opponent yet. We've kind of been a bit ponderous, really, and just been playing Orcish Bowmasters and hoping for the best. Turn 1 Brainstorm. That is not a display of strength, in my opinion. Yep. So are we playing the Nethergoyf or the Channeler? The Channeler will get some Surveils next turn, but will it be enough? This also doesn't die to Hydroblast. I think we just play out the Channeler though, because we're going to get 2 Surveils next turn, and that's quite a lot. Just straight up Force of Will, pitching Force of Will on a 1-drop. I'll take that. So the next turn we go Cori-Steel Cutter, which is the thing that I really didn't want to get counterspelled. We can play this into Bauble, we get some pressure down, and then we cross our fingers and hope that we don't get back to basics. Now this doesn't strike me as a great matchup for back to basics, because we're coming in like underneath some of the stuff they're doing, and we have Pyroblasts. So maybe they don't have them in their deck still, and they just have a bunch more removal to interact with us, because if they kill all our stuff, they will win the game. But you never know what's in their deck, really. Pyroblast, that's nice. Our opponent hasn't shown us dazes and things, so yeah, okay, they just F6'd over there. We get to attack. We get to Bauble our opponent, and obviously we're going to see... Okay, it was just a ponder. I was expecting to see a back to basics here. That's the thing that we can't really do anything about. So we could have just fetched a red source and not have black mana, but then we have a bunch of threats that we really want to play with black mana here, and if we draw a mountain, then we're in trouble. Here comes... Okay, no, it's just this guy. It's just this one. What are you getting? Is it the Batterskull? So I will 100% try and Thoughtseize that out of your hand. I would like to find a land. Again, I just want to find lands all the time when I'm playing this deck. Cryptic Coat and a Ponder. So if we can find a land, we can double spell and get another monk token. And that's obviously very good for us. I shuffle off that Ponder. We didn't find a land. I don't really want to play this Cori-Steel Cutter. If our opponent's getting this Cryptic Coat, maybe they don't care about... Maybe they already have the Batterskull. So I think we have to respect their hand here. Back to basics. Get in the bin over there. Okay. So they can Cryptic Coat and get a little bit of value. We can Pyroblast that. Again, if we can find another mana source, we can play a second Cori-Steel Cutter and Pyroblast in the same turn. I think the game pretty much ends on the spot. They played a Flooded Strand. We knew about that one. Not a land. We're not great at drawing these not land things. What is the play here? Is it just Untimely Malfunction, or do we have to save this? I kind of like keeping our monk alive. We could just play out this 4/5, which is huge. If we attack, we can Pyroblast the Cryptic Coat. I think that's probably our best bet here. I can Pyroblast it now, so they don't get a token. They will just crack this and bounce it, though. But we force through more damage this way. They'll still get the token here, though, won't they? But then we have a 3/3. Is now the right time to do that? I don't think it makes a difference, actually, does it? So I can hit the thing, but they're just going to bounce it. If I want to get rid of it permanently, we just have to let our guy die, which I think is the correct play. I don't like it very much, but it was a Scalding Tarn all along. We kind of telegraphed that we have this Pyroblast, and our opponent is playing around it. But at least we have a play that we can play whilst we're holding up for this. Sure, they can put it back in again if they want to. But they have the mana up, so they can bounce it again in response to our Pyroblast. That does take our opponent's whole turn. But I think that's a fine way to play this one. I don't think they're getting in with the Stoneforge. Bop in a little Orcish Bowmaster action. Put our opponent to 11. A mountain. A good old-fashioned mountain, you say? Cori-Steel Cutter, please. And then we're going to play our second spell, which is a massive creature. So now we get a bunch of Cori-Steel Cutter stuff going on. And we don't really care about the Cryptic Coat very much. Like, these trade with the Cryptic Coat, but then it's gone, and then it doesn't get to block our stuff next turn. If they just put a Batterskull in now, then sure, we're pretty cooked, but okay, wasn't the case. So we get to take out their thing and deal them 2 damage. It was a prismatic ending all along. Double spelling should be pretty doable for us. We can stop their creatures from blocking next turn. We kind of need them to have a creature in play first. Right, there's white mana in the pool, so there's something's getting killed this turn. That's usually what that means. It's a plow on our poor defenseless Bowmaster. And a Ponder. So we're not really looking to do Cryptic Coat stuff this turn by the sounds of things. They shuffle off that Ponder. Are we going to get our first match win? I think this is our first match win if we can get this one down. We're returning the Cryptic Coat, so they can put it in with the Stoneforge. Alright, they've just had enough. And we did manage to squeak it over the line because we have quite a lot going on here. I don't think they can overcome it. And, you know, we're probably going to draw some more action at some point because we can't draw lands. Yeah. Okay, so we are on the board. So we've avoided the reverse trophy. And the games we lost were pretty close. You know, they were 1-2s. They weren't just complete stomps. All right, round 4. Let's see if we can turn this around in the back half of the league. Sure, we'll keep this one. All right, let's see if we can get some Cabal Therapy action. Urza's Bauble. Okay, we'll take the thing that we know about. Oh, we're on a mirror match. I see. And we are on the play. So we're going to get Thoughtseized here. Oh, okay, we have a second cutter. That is very handy. I was going to say we're going to just lose our cutter and be dead. Yep. They could take the Bauble and just see if they can strand us with these cutters, but I don't think that's the correct way to play because as soon as we start firing off with the cutters, they're going to be in trouble. But they might go for that. Oh, wow, they're just scooping it up. Okay. I want some removal spells. I would like some of these, and I'll have this, and I like a way of blowing up their spooky Cori-Steel Cutter. Nihil Spellbomb has text, but isn't amazing. Cabal Therapy, I think we're going to be playing so much stuff out that this isn't really going to be how the game is going to be fought. I'll give a few Thoughtseizes in. Would I rather have Cabal Therapies or Thoughtseizes? I think it's Thoughtseizes, isn't it? If they got cards in hand, I want to be able to take them. Alright. My opponent didn't enjoy that one, I guess. This hand slaps pretty hard. It also has lands. Considering how much trouble we've been having with our mana, if our opponent plays a land that we can hit with a Wasteland and doesn't do anything with it, I'm just going to Wasteland them. A mountain, okay. Dragon's Rage Channeler. And they're getting a Surveil on. And another Surveil. This tells us they don't have a Cori-Steel Cutter, which is the best card in our deck, I think. So that's something. Alright, let's go and put our Dragon's Rage Channeler in. Enjoy, opponent. It's over to you. So they got 2 Bauble triggers. They like the cards on top, though. Well, they didn't like one of them, but they liked another one. Okay, Orcish Bowmasters. Very, very strong. Also, they have their basic lands, which is basically cheating in this matchup. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's go and get ourselves Badlands here. I'll deploy the best card in our deck, followed by the thing that turns it on, and we can attack. I don't really want to fire off this Bauble yet. We can use it later on to get this Molten Collapse going, and then we have the Molten Collapse to kill the Bowmasters, then we can draw the card without taking damage. Right, can you beat my Cori-Steel Cutter? Do you have a Cori-Steel Cutter? Okay, we're cracking a land first. What do you have, opponent? A Raucous Theater. Molten Collapse. Getting rid of the Bauble and our guy. Sure. I don't think we crack this. Do we crack this? Is one card worth 1 point of damage on our opponent? I think it is. Okay. I'll take the card. It will grow their guy. A Cori-Steel Cutter on top. It's good to know about. Don't feel great about it, but here we are. So we've got 3 different types in our graveyard. If we put this sorcery in, this guy will be big. And Urza's Bauble. So we know they've got a Cori-Steel Cutter. If we Wasteland them off of it, that's pretty good too. If we want to get this guy being a 3/3, which I think we do, I think that means we have to Cori-Steel Cutter this Bowmaster. So not Cori-Steel Cutter, Molten Collapse it. Alternatively, we Molten Collapse this and play the Bauble. I think it's just better to get the Channeler in play, isn't it? We don't actually have to get Revolt here, so we could just play the Swamp. So we could kill their... So if we kill their Orcish Bowmaster, this guy becomes a 3/3. We kill this. I think we kill the Dragon's Rage Channeler, actually. Although if we want to draw a card with this Bauble, we don't need to draw a card with the Bauble yet. We're going to try and do that next turn. Alright, I'm going to get rid of the Channeler. Get ourselves a Monk. A Molten Collapse. That is a wonderful draw. I'll have that on top of my library, please. And then we get to attack for 2 here. We have the biggest creature on blocks. We have double spell next turn. Our opponent's drawing this Cori-Steel Cutter. Do they have the material to leverage it is the question. A Wasteland, we don't care about that. There is a Cori-Steel Cutter, 2 cards in hand for our opponent. And another Cori-Steel Cutter. Okay, so next turn could be a little bit spooky for us. Can you attack into our board though? No. That's obviously very good news for us. So we can Wasteland them, or we can get a Surveil land first. Would I rather Surveil here? I think I would rather Surveil than Wasteland. This would trigger... We don't need to trigger Revolt. I keep trying to trigger Revolt and we don't actually have to do it. Destroy target creature or Planeswalker. So we get rid of the Bowmasters here. Sheoldred's Edict. It's a removal spell. Sure, I'll take a removal spell. I will play this Urza's Bauble. I will see what's in our opponent's hand. It's an Amped Raptor, so this is almost certainly going to trigger their Cori-Steel Cutter. Interesting. This has to attack. These probably need to be attacking. Like, if we're trading here, that's not ideal, but it's okay. So we're drawing a card, which is going to be the Sheoldred's Edict, which we can use to mess with our opponent. We have a card in hand, so they might be worried about getting prowessed here. Oh, interesting. I will take out the base 2/2, considering they're going to struggle to get prowess here. So we put our opponent to 10. We have the Sheoldred's Edict we're about to draw. I'd rather save this for our turn for the chance of double spelling and getting this Cori-Steel Cutter popping. Alright, Amped Raptor, be bad. Be like my Amped Raptors, not like the opponent's ones tend to be. Yep, here it goes. What have you got for us? An Urza's Bauble. Not the highest impact one, at least. But this is a bunch of friends. But if they swing out, they do risk potentially dying next turn. Am I supposed to remove any of their guys now? I don't think we are. I think we're just playing the who can Bauble better. Not Bauble, you know what I mean. Cori-Steel Cutter. A Cabal Therapy. They don't know what we have here. What are you going to name? I don't think they know what we have. Did they check our... No, the ball was ages ago. If they flash it back, then... Oh, they named Sheoldred's Edict. How did they know that we had a Sheoldred's Edict? Oh, they just baubled us and they must have seen it. Yeah, that was loose from me. We just played a bauble out. Like, we could have removed one of these guys, and now we take, what, 3, 6, and a bunch more. Right, we'll do this in the upkeep so that we have access to Revolt for our turn. I guess we already had the Revolt, actually. Could have done this in our opponent's end step. A Bauble, that's not the one. We need our Amped Raptor here. Sure. An Untimely Malfunction. So we deal our opponent 3 damage, 4, 5, 6 damage if we use this. We can blow up a Cori-Steel Cutter, but we're still dead. I think we're just dead there. We Sheoldred's Edict away one of their guys. Would it have been better? I don't know. So the Cabal Therapy looked good in that one instance because they got to pump a bunch of guys, but that was because they had double Cori-Steel Cutter, which is actually why it looked good. I'm not convinced we actually want the Cabal Therapies. Maybe they're better than the Nihil Spellbombs. So we'll try 1 in here. Are they better than Thoughtseizes? Although Thoughtseize, if we just Thoughtseize and just take the Cori-Steel Cutter, that's probably just better. But 2 life is kind of annoying as well. Interesting. Maybe we'll try these Cabal Therapies then. We'll try this. I think just being on the play is actually going to be the thing that matters here, not how we tinker with these handful of slots. Cabal Therapy seems good. Cori-Steel Cutter is the best card. Our opponent drew 2 of them, so they won last time. No Cori-Steel Cutter. Understood. So what's going to happen here is they're going to Bauble us, and they're going to see Lightning Bolt, and then they're going to Cabal Therapy us, naming Lightning Bolt, and then hit 2 cards. I feel it in my bones. Yep, we reveal the Lightning Bolt. Cabal Therapy us. That's just very unfortunate. There was a 40% chance they hit that. Maybe they'll name Cori-Steel Cutter though. They named Lightning Bolt. And now we're just mulled to 5. Cool. 0 we can do about that. Thanks, Magic the Gathering. Why couldn't you reveal one of the lands? Molten Collapse here. It's fine. This can go and get us a mountain. So now we are Orcish Bowmastering down the next creature they play. I'd be surprised if they didn't just slam the Amped Raptor. I don't think there's a lot of agency of how these turns are playing out right now. Cori-Steel Cutter. That's a better card than what they were going to play. I think we just need to get a Raucous Theater here. We are so far behind. We don't need you, land. Get out of here. Molten Collapse doesn't blow this up, which really is annoying. Another Orcish Bowmasters. Sure. An Amped Raptor. You'll never guess what. It's going to hit a spell. A Fatal Push. Sure. So they didn't have a target for this unless they target their own Amped Raptor. So this has gone quite well for us. They are targeting their own Amped Raptor. This gets them a monk. There's no window where we get to shoot this. I will trade half an Orcish Bowmaster for it though. So we take 1 damage here because of the trample. But we clear the Bowmaster. We clear the token here. Our opponent's got 5 cards in hand. Imagine if we had these 2 Lightning Bolts in hand. What a world that would be. Do we want this Bauble right now? We know our opponent's got a Sheoldred's Edict. So I think we're going to Bauble our opponent and see if we can get some more information. A Molten Collapse. Is that worth one of our little guys? So this being able to kill guys feels way better than just pitching it to the Cabal Therapy. At least make our opponent tap their mana. Another Molten Collapse. If only these could blow up artifacts. He's going to collapse my boy. Another Cori-Steel Cutter. Okay, so we just don't win this game is what you're telling me. Understood. Are we just firing this off? Just trying to get some more pressure. It's bad. I don't know how we win this one. Our opponent has double Cori-Steel Cutter. We are very dead here. A Fatal Push. That's not unhelpful. Attack with everything. Let's Cabal Therapy our opponent. What are we naming here? I think it's Sheoldred's Edict. Fear of missing out. So they've got a slightly different build because they're running the Fear, which I quite like. We don't get to use our spells, so we just pass here. They're struggling to make double spell, which is what we need to dodge. Fear of missing out. When it enters, it discards a card and draw a card, so it might be able to find a land. A Fatal Push on our poor, innocent Bowmaster. Very rude. Do they have a red 1-drop, though? Oh, they've drew a 0-drop. Okay. Cool. Not in love with that for us. Oh, they're not attacking. Am I just killing one of these guys? I don't think so, because if we draw the Cori-Steel Cutter, we can play Cori-Steel Cutter and Fatal Push. Dragon's Rage Channeler is pretty good here. And then I don't really need to Surveil right now, do I? We just pass. We got a 3/3 on blocks. That's something. It means if they make a token here, we at least get to do something about it. I'm surprised they didn't go for the Fear of missing out last turn, though. Because this can allow them to start double spelling the quicker they can get through their deck and find another land. Molten Collapse. Targeting my Dragon's Rage Channeler. I guess we kill one of these. We might as well get the Surveil. Orcish Bowmaster. It's not what we need necessarily. How big is this going to be? 5 power guy. I think we need something better than Orcish Bowmasters. We need to like just hit Amped Raptors and then actually do the thing we need them to do. Okay. Goodbye, Dragon's Rage Channeler. So our opponent can actually attack with this monk now. But that opens up an attack with our Bowmaster, but I don't think they care too much about that. Oh, they had the Cabal Therapy in the graveyard, didn't they? And they know we... Do we know we have a Molten Collapse? I don't know if they do. I guess we're about to find out. If they manage to get 2, like, Hymns of Turax off of 1 Cabal Therapy, then we can just call it a day here. I think our opponent's build with Fear of missing out is a nice one. Their name's Molten Collapse. Yep, they got them both. Ah, this game. Okay, we're very dead here. Alright, what are we doing? Amped Raptor, Nethergoyf. Okay, we have a big guy. At some point, our opponent will remember that they have a massive guy. And then they can equip a Cori-Steel Cutter to their massive guy and beat our massive guy. And then we lose the game. It's remarkable how well these Cabal Therapies have gone for our opponent. A Wasteland. Alright, there's a Nethergoyf. They can play Fear of missing out now. Trigger both these Steel Cutters. Yeah, what are we doing here? We're just super dead. Oh, they're just equipping it to the Nethergoyf. Like, we're not winning this. Our opponent Hymns of Turax has twice for 1 mana and then for 0 mana. Alright, so going to the last round. We are currently 1-3. I'm not really vibing with this deck. Let's go to the final round and see if we can at least put a 2-3 on the board. On the play, Raucous Theater. Not the one here. I think we have to mulligan this. Sure, I guess we keep another one. It's not quite a one-lander, but it certainly feels like one. So we played this out. We died to Wasteland. We play this out. We can't fatal push something on the first turn, and that messes up our mana efficiency. I think we just play out of the Wasteland. We're holding the Bauble in case we draw into a Cori-Steel Cutter, and we can start firing that off. Just a ponder. Okay, so we're not punished for not having access to the fatal push. Like we might have wanted to fatal push a Tamiya or something, but that's not a thing that we have to worry about. So the problem is we can play our Bowmasters next turn. We can play it on our sorcery speed mode, which means that if our opponent's got cantrips and stuff, they don't work very well. Or we can hold it to play around our opponent having a Bowmaster. We don't know which of those is going to be right, but most of the decks that play Ponder right now aren't playing Bowmasters. So statistically speaking, I think we're better off doing this. Because this isn't the black land, we don't have to worry about them popping off with the Nihil Spellbomb next turn. So we don't have to worry about the graveyard. So I think we're just playing a sorcery speed Orcish Bowmaster. We ping our opponent for 1. Do we need to Bauble right now? I wouldn't mind finding some more action. So I think I am going to Bauble here. Maybe we could have done this first to get more information about... There's the Bowmaster on top. Yep, if we just sequence this the other way around, we might have been in a slightly better spot. A lightning bolt. But then if we do it that way around, then we just don't play a Bowmaster at all. So should just play our Bowmasters themselves. Yeah, we could have done that clean if we just sequenced it the other way around. Goodbye, Orcish Bowmaster. Now, we don't really care about their Bowmaster because we didn't draw extra cards. What are we doing here? Play this one out. We can take our opponent off of black mana, which is something I'm certainly in favour of doing. Then we can deploy, I guess it's a Nihil Spellbomb here. And then pass. I think our opponent plays a better control game than we do because they have access to a bunch of things that make their late game good. So cantrips and stuff. So when they've got a bunch of land, they draw a cantrip, and all of a sudden that cantrip turns into exactly the card they need. We don't have that, so we're not going to be as strong in the late game as our opponent. We don't have any big late game payoffs either that we can work towards. So our opponent's probably just going to sit back and play the control role, which means we're not trading our Orc army if they attack here. We're hoping to get a Surveil land at end step and try and find a bit more action. Alright, they've gone and got a basic playing around the one Wasteland that we have left in our deck. Obviously, they can certainly believe that we have more Wastelands. So they're coming with just the Orc army, I believe. Yep, I will not trade off here. We need to be the aggressor. Let's go and get ourselves a Raucous Theater. Another Orcish Bowmasters. Don't mind if I do. I think I'm happy to fire this in now. Kill their Bowmasters, attack for 2. Daze blows us out here. We've got a Force of Will for our trouble though. I don't think I want to make this trade, but I also don't think our opponent wants to make this trade. So if I attack, it signals that I'm okay with this trade, when actually what I want to do is push 1 damage. Yep, there we go. So we've got the 1 damage we wanted to push there. It doesn't mean they get to push 2 damage back, but again, when it gets to the late game, we lose. Do I want to play around a potential Murktide Regent right now? I don't think we beat Murktide Regent. Actually, no, we have a Molten Collapse. We can kill the Murktide Regent, that's fine. This feels like a Kaito, which we don't really have a good answer for. Well, actually, no, that's not true. The Molten Collapse is Planeswalker. Yes, it's the Cori-Steel Cutter is the one thing that you want this. You can't do. Okay, so they're keeping the Bowmaster in play. That's interesting. I probably would have just bounced the Bowmaster because we don't look like a deck that's going to be drawing a bunch of cards. So you can get slightly more value here. But now they get to draw an extra card as well as surveilling. And they're just donking us at this point. A Nethergoyf. Okay, that's a reasonable sized creature. We have to destroy the Planeswalker. They Force of Will before, so I don't believe they have a Daze, but obviously they surveilled some cards. And they put 2 cards on top of their library. So they obviously found something pretty strong there. Okay, we just get to have that damage stick, that spell stick. That's nice. They might have a second Kaito. But we now have a 4/5 Nethergoyf that we can deploy next turn and hold up a Lightning Bolt or Fatal Push. Are we supposed to play around Murktide? I think we need to draw a card off of this Spellbomb. They have a Spellbomb. Okay, so our Nethergoyf is pretty terrible. Cool. I just think the blue-black tempo deck is doing a very similar thing to what we're doing, but better. Kaito is such a nice like top-end piece that we just don't have access to, and obviously cantrips and counterspells are very strong. Well, let's bash with this Orc Army token. How much do we need to draw a card with this Spellbomb? Brainstorm. You got it, boss. How much do I need a card? I think I need the card a lot, because if it's a land, we can go land, Nethergoyf. Okay, I hate this, but I think it's correct. So they get to ping us. We did find a land. Unfortunately, it doesn't allow us to cast the Nethergoyf. And our opponent doesn't really have any reason to crack their spell. I guess they might crack their Spellbomb just to be mana efficient right now. I think that's not an unreasonable thing to do. Yep. Trading Spellbombs. So now this Lightning Bolt will go into our graveyard and start pumping this Nethergoyf, so that we can at least have a 1-2. I don't know if I'm in the market for blowing up one of these Bowmasters. Oh, sorry, the Bowmaster or the Orc Army. Oh, Wasteland. No. We just went through some hoops to try and get a land, and then we lose another land. They've got Kaito here. We can't stop them. I think we just lose to Kaito if they have it here. They didn't have it. Okay. We get to continue playing this game. And Nethergoyf. This is a 2-3. We can interact with this. Now, will our Lightning Bolt actually work on this Nethergoyf? I don't know. Because they could play an instant. They did not play an instant and we got to kill it. Excellent. Swamp. Not a swamp. So we can start going face with these if we want to. We have one more Lightning Bolt left in our deck. We don't really have a lot of direct damage though. It's just the bolts. Another Wasteland. Alright, you got it, opponent. I don't really want to spend a Lightning Bolt on these guys. Orcish Bowmaster. Okay, so we'll let this come in. We'll let them grow the Orc Army and then we'll ping. Then we'll blow up the Orc Army. That's worth my time, I think. But we are just dwindling down with no resources here. Come on, give me a land. It's going to be a Wasteland, isn't it? It's an Amped Raptor we can't cast. Now, if we do get to cast this, it's pretty good. Because it's 2 spells. Even if it's a removal spell, it's going to be good. I guess if it's a discard spell, it sucks for us. But I don't think our deck is particularly good. So, we're certainly struggling. We can't stop them having a Kaito here. I really don't want to have to waste a Lightning Bolt on this. If we can get an Amped Raptor into play, its first strike is really good as well. Molten Collapse. Okay, I think we take one more round of damage from these, then we have to point a Lightning Bolt at them. I would quite like to Lightning Bolt something more like a Tamiyo, or we can't Lightning Bolt a Nethergoyf at this point. Baleful Strix, I'd rather Lightning Bolt as well, given the opportunity. We'll take these. If we don't draw a land this turn, we're going to have to Lightning Bolt one of these next turn. Come on, deck. What are we doing here? Mishra's Bauble is so bad. Yikes. What a disaster. So they could have a hardcast Force of Will here. So maybe we're supposed to bolt this in upkeep. But if they Force of Will this, then maybe our Amped Raptor gets to resolve. If I was the opponent and I had Force of Will in hand, I don't think I would Force of Will this. But if I had a Daze, you could bet your bottom dollar I would spend it on that. So it didn't really matter the way we did it, unless that was the card they drew for turn. Okay, deck, come on, give me something. Like, we're still not dead. If we draw a land next turn, we play the Amped Raptor, it finds a removal spell, then we have a 2-1 first striker, and we have a dead Bowmaster. So we're not out of the game yet, but it just doesn't feel like we've been in the game for very long here. We're going to go to 1. We are dead to another Orcish Bowmasters at any point in this game. Also, if they'd have Kaito'd back an Orcish Bowmasters earlier instead of their token, we'd have been dead by now. Nope, we don't have anything, so we die. Yeah, that was terrible. Let's see if we can fix this in the sideboard. So I would like some Pyroblasts. I think I want a Molten Collapse, Fatal Push, Sheoldred's Edict, because these hit their Planeswalkers. I'm not in love with the Baubles. Cori-Steel Cutter, Molten Collapse, all this stuff's good. Maybe we don't want Thoughtseizes. Take out one of the Cabal Therapies. Let's try something like this. I really just feel like we're playing a worse version of our opponent's deck. They have more lands in their deck. They have a better top end. They have more reliability because of all their cantrips. They have counter spells. They've got nice little say no buttons. They probably have slightly bigger threats like Barragoyf that just completely crush us. Feels tough. This hand, I've seen this hand so many times with the Raucous Theater and then nothing. So we just stone cold dead to Wasteland. We can't keep this. Or maybe we're supposed to and just say, don't wasteland me. But that seems like such a liability. Alright, that's mulligan. Okay, this is better. We keep this. I think we probably get rid of the Raucous Theater. And then we get to play on... what do we want here? I think it's the Channeler first. Also, we get to play on basics, which is something. So, the Channeler means if we find something like a Cabal Therapy, we can fire that off next turn. Otherwise, we've got Nethergoyf and Lightning Bolt, which is pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Fatal Push. If they play a Tamiyo, we can certainly interact with that. It's just a Ponder. Alright. So we get to play a Nethergoyf. We can grow it at instant speed using the Lightning Bolt, as well as the Surveil we get off the Channeler. So this is more like the sort of hand that we're really looking for. Feels like we either need to be doing Cori-Steel Cutter stuff or have 2 1-drop threats. Like the the Orcish Bowmaster hands just don't feel up to scratch here. Let's play this Nethergoyf. If they counterspell this, we can then Lightning Bolt their face, potentially, to try and grow the Channeler. So we can put this type in, then we're just looking for one more type then. That's not what happened, so we're just going to pass it over. With 2 Fatal Pushes in hand, I don't mind Lightning Bolting our opponent's face. Okay, we're playing on basics over there. Ponder. Sure. Probably looking for a Fatal Push or a Nethergoyf of their own, which we will be able to Lightning Bolt. Although, should we Lightning Bolt it, or should we Lightning Bolt them, because we have these 2 removal spells in hand that might not necessarily be the easiest thing to leverage. Just a Nihil Spellbomb. Okay, that's less than ideal for us. A Molten Collapse. Am I going to Molten Collapse this Nihil Spellbomb? That seems like a terrible play. I think we're going to attack here. And I'm going to Lightning Bolt my opponent's face to try and grow our Nethergoyf. Well, it definitely will grow our Nethergoyf. And I don't know if our opponent wants the Nihil Spellbomb right now when they don't have mana up. Do we want this land? I don't think we're in land mode anymore. I think we're in trying to find some spells for now. Just forces an extra point of damage in. So we get our opponent down to 11. So we're nearly halfway there, life total wise. And our opponent hasn't really impacted the board yet. Now Spellbomb can impact the board, obviously, and reduce the strength of our creatures. So they've got that they can sit on as like a fog for a turn. And possibly can fog for multiple turns. If we can't get enough stuff in our bin. Barragoyf. Sure, we can kill this. I wouldn't mind having a land here. Then we can just try and fire some of these Fatal Pushes at our opponent. It wasn't to be. Let's destroy target creature or planeswalker. Let's Surveil. Kind of would have liked that Bloodstained Mire now. Force of Will. Okay. If we put a creature into the graveyard, we can attack with our Dragon's Rage Channeler. Well, we have to attack with our Dragon's Rage Channeler. They can pop the Spellbomb here for no value, apart from gaining the life and killing our creature, which is pretty good value. So they can crack in for 4 a turn. So they can go up to 11, but then we can hit them for 7. So we'll be netting damage there. But they can Spellbomb reduce that damage to 1. Ugh, pretty gross. Yeah, it turns out that Bloodstained Mire would have been the thing that we actually wanted there. We shuffled it away, but then again we wouldn't have hit the other spells necessarily, so kind of a moot point. This has Death Touch, so blocking doesn't feel good. Now letting it through, that also doesn't feel good, but maybe they miss and don't get a creature. If they find another Barragoyf, then we're just dead. Tamiyo. I don't care that much about Tamiyo. Like, it's obviously very good, but in terms of the problems we're facing, this is numero uno. We do not really get through the Barragoyf. What are we hoping for here? If we have a land, we can fire off a couple of Fatal Pushes. Then they're just going to wipe our graveyard, and that kind of leaves us nowhere. If they flip the Tamiyo now, that's very irritating. But again, one problem at a time. Okay, well, our plan involves attacking with these guys. If they Fatal Push one of our guys, it turns on our Fatal Push for their Barragoyf. This has to be a permanent left the battlefield from my control. I can't work off of my opponent's things. Alright, our opponent has a Brainstorm. That's what this tells me. This means that we at least have a window here. They're going for the Spellbomb first. Okay, maybe they don't have the Brainstorm here. I will deploy this, because we're not going to lose a creature this time. We may as well get the ping. Yep, so they did have the Brainstorm and the Nihil Spellbomb. Because the Nihil Spellbomb wiping our guy is very problematic for us. They kind of just baited us out a little bit there. Now, our Nethergoyf lives, but I'm not sure if you can call that living, really. Oh, they have a Daze as well. Okay, they just had everything, so it didn't matter in the end. Because they've got better cards in their deck than us. And that's just the nature of how this matchup looks to me. So they can get their little bonus card as well. They shrink our guy down. They take 1 damage. Like, how are we ever going to win this game? Like, the one turn where we didn't get to shoot the Barragoyf, that was kind of big. If we'd have managed to kill the Barragoyf that turn, then our opponent would be on, what, 5? And then our little guys might feel pretty good. But now they have the Tamiyo bubble. We're a long way from making these get through the Tamiyo bubble. Yeah, I think we're just done here. I didn't want to play this anymore. So we finished this league with a 1-4. Now, 3 of the rounds were, you know, close in the score here. They were 1-2s, but they didn't feel that close, to be honest with you. It felt like our deck was, you know, just doing worse versions of other people's decks. All right, let's talk about this list. So first things first, we're running 17 lands, and we had trouble with our mana a fair few times. We also ran into having this Raucous Theater as our only land a lot. So the idea is that you have these baubles as, you know, kind of reducing your land count. But if you're relying on them finding you a land, they are terrible. And yeah, I would have rather have had 2 more Wastelands, because at least that's a mana which can be actual mana if we need it, as well as being a Wasteland, you know. It kind of bridges the gap of having the sort of land spell thing, especially when we have like colorless red, colorless black. You know, we've got stuff we can cast off the Wasteland. We can even cast our Nihil Spellbomb. So I just think you need more lands in a deck that looks like this. This is just not enough lands. And then we have the problem of a lot of people are doing similar things to us. So, you know, like Nethergoyf, Fatal Push, Thoughtseize, Bowmasters. These cards exist in a deck already, and we played against it and it smashed us down. And I think they're just better at doing what we're doing because they've got better cards around it. And they sort of go further up the curve. They also have Barragoyf, which is peculiarly missing. But I guess it's not that peculiar because we don't have enough lands to play it, really. So there's that. And then the other half of our deck, the Cori-Steel Cutter, Lightning Bolt, Dragon's Rage Channeler, Baubles. There's a deck that's doing that as well. It's Blue-Red Delver, and it's one of the best decks in the format. So we're basically taking part of 2 of the better decks in the format in like Blue-Black Tempo and the Blue-Red Delver deck, and we've kind of mushed them together, but we've taken out the glue that makes them work, which is the cantrips, and we're kind of just at the mercy of the top of our we've taken out 2 things actually. We've taken out the cantrips, which make it so our deck operates reliably, and we've taken out the top end of Kaito or Murktide, which is the thing that allows us to have this big game punch, or even Barragoyf. We just don't have any of that, so we're kind of having to get things done in the early game, but we don't have like a big splashy like way of approaching things. Now, sure, if we like have a really good Nethergoyf game, we go like turn 1 Nethergoyf, turn 2 Thoughtseize Cabal Therapy you or whatever, and there's a bauble thrown in there somewhere, we're smashing for a bunch. That's going to feel pretty good. But those games are going to be few and far between. Now, I will say I did like how Amped Raptor and Cori-Steel Cutter work together, but I just do not think this deck is very good. And I would not recommend anyone playing this for any sort of big tournaments. If you want to refine it for like local tournaments and stuff, sure, put some more lands in the deck, please. And maybe try and have like a top end. Like, why are we running Timeline Culler? It's fine, I like it, but the amount of times we were reliant on a Wasteland for mana or having a mountain and a swamp, it just felt like this card was never really going to do that much. Turn this into a Barragoyf and the deck gets better. Play some more Barragoyfs and the deck gets even better, I suspect. More lands. Yeah, I just think this deck is not somewhere where I would personally like to be. I think you can play some good black-red aggressive decks in this format, but I don't think they look exactly like this. I think there's definitely some of the things you would want here. But it feels like we're doing quite a lot of things and we don't necessarily have the resources to back it up. Like, there are just a bunch of good cards in here, right? You'd imagine this would be fine. I think our opponent who is playing the bill with Fear of Missing Out makes a lot more sense because that's an enchantment creature. So it's going to pump our delirium counts for these cards. But it also allows you to try and fix your hand a little bit and give you some of that selection that you're missing out by not playing blue. So, you know, that would be better than Timeline Culler as well if you want to keep it that way. So there's definitely things you could do to improve this deck, but personally I just didn't really enjoy playing it, and it just felt like we were doing a worse version of other people's decks. I hope you enjoyed this, watching it at least, and please remember to like and subscribe. And if you want to become a member of my YouTube channel and see all my videos early, it's only $1 a month. Now you can give me more money a month if you'd like to support the channel more, but I'm trying to keep the initial cost low, so I just hopefully get lots of people doing it, and it doesn't make much of a dent in other people's finances and they feel like they're getting something for it. And if enough people do it, then I can keep putting food on my table. All right, plugs over and done with. Thanks for joining me once again, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.